This is Jamie Drummond for Good Food Revolution. I'm here this morning with Rocio Osborne, who is joining us all the way from Spain. How are you today?
Great, thank you. Thank you for a very nice welcome into Toronto.
Superb. Now, you are part of the very historied Osborne family, whose history within the Spanish wine industry goes way back to, I think, 1772 or thereabouts.
That's right.
Would you mind telling us a little bit of your family history?
Yeah, sure. I love it. It was my great-great-grandfather who moved from the south of England to the south of Spain, actually, starting to merchant with the sherry wines. And then he set there and he married a Spanish woman. So he bought his winery and the vineyards, and he started making sherry because it was completely the trendy drink in UK at the time. And he was Thomas Osborne, and his son became, of course, Thomas Osborne. And we always had Thomas Osborne in the different generations. I'm already sixth generation.
Sixth generation.
Yeah.
Now, over those 6 generations, the family is no longer ensconced in just sherry.
No, that's the thing. We started diversifying specifically in the 60s when actually my grandfather was involved in the management. And we started, of course, with the port that, fortified wines made a lot of sense for us. Then also Montecillo, that it was already a 100-year-old winery in Rioja. So we bought it in 1973. Then also we had an anisette company that was also 100 years old. A very premium Iberico ham from the south of Spain that was also 100 years old company. And then we started our very own wine project at the late 90s to craft very tailor-made wines for international consumers.
Now, your background is actually in finance, and you did a degree in law, went over to work in finance in the UK, and then came back. The calling of the family Osborne's wine empire taunted you back. What was it that made you want to go back and work with the family?
Well, I guess that this is like this, when you forbidden something to somebody,
right.
You make them want it even more. So we are not allowed to work in the company because we are a big family, 300 family members,
right.
Since 1772, right? So I never thought about working in the company because we weren't allowed. So I made my career outside the company, and then in 2006, our family board decided that they wanted someone from the family to join the company. So at the time, they were already the president. He's a third cousin of me, and then the CEO. But they joined like 20 years before me.
Right.
So in 2006, they ran this headhunter process with all the cousins, and it was kind of fun because we were going to the interviews and we were seeing our cousin or, the people, from your family going out from the interviews, and it was like, how did it go? And it was like, yeah, great. And then I joined the company. I was the chosen one. So it's great. It's a big responsibility, of course, especially because there are so few of us. But it's the dream of my life, always to work with the family.
So we've just been tasting through 3 of your wines, and it was interesting because Montecillo has been in this market for quite some time, but I hadn't tasted it for a good few years. And it's interesting, you told me that the wine has changed a great deal since you came on board, mostly to do with the way that the wine was actually produced, made in the winery. Would you mind explaining a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Since 2005, we were looking to make the wines a little bit more approachable, but still reflecting the Rioja terroir and the soil of true Rioja, classic Rioja, because there were some other wineries that were following like a trend of making very modern Riojas. And we wanted the wines to be more approachable, but still classic. So we did decrease a little bit the average age of our barrels. Now it's 2.5 years old, where it's very much younger. And it gives much cleaner aromas to the wines. They taste fresher. Also, we have a new barrel washing machine that it's very respectful with the barrel because it's only hot steam, hot water, cold water, and ozone. Instead of using, like sulfur that gives sometimes some smell and aromas that we don't like so much. Yes. And also we are using this Ganymede system that is in the fermentation tanks.
The Ganymede fermented.
So it's more respectful with the grape, instead of pumping over that you get a little bit some harsh tannins. In here you get rounder wines and more smoother tannins. And we bright up a little bit the fruit also by selecting very much the different vineyards that we work with. We have 200 different vineyards that we work with, so they are very different. So we are selecting much better which ones goes better with the different wines, especially with the aging of the vineyards.
Right. Now, so you're saying that there's quite a lot of modern technology in the winery itself, but you are making a very traditional Rioja without it being old-fashioned.
Because what we're trying to, we have more than 140 years experience, so we kept what we thought that was worth keeping.
Right.
The traditional, our 1874 winery that it was in the middle of this little town, Fuenmayor, it's mostly dig underground. So when we built the new winery in 1973, we did the same. Our winery is completely designed to be underground,
right?
Especially the aging. But actually, the malolactic tanks, they are concrete tanks that are underground. We have to cool them down to have spontaneously malolactic fermentation.
Of course, yes.
And it's run by gravity from the fermentation tanks to the malolactic tanks. That's much better with the wine because we don't move the wine so much and it's very gentle. And then the barrels, it's also very light toasting. We are not heavy toasting the barrels. And they are on the ground with perfect 85% humidity. And the bottle aging, I think it's something that is very important for the wines. We exceed the bottle aging requirements for the DO because we feel that our wines need a little bit more bottle, so they get more mature. When they get to the consumers, they are completely ready to drink.
Speaking of barrels, traditionally Rioja has used American oak, but you use, it depends upon the wine, you use 100% American oak, a lot of American oak and a little bit of French, and then all French for the different wines throughout the range. What is the thinking behind that?
It's trying to match, to choose the right oak for the different wine styles. Our wines being the same variety, that is Tempranillo, even if it's the same vintage, some years in between them, they don't taste the same. The way we made them, like Grand Reserva can have 1.5 months time fermentation, with macerations before and after, and the 60-year-old vineyards taste completely different. And the wines, the fruit is gonna be more subtle after 4 years in the bottle. So we need a little bit more leathery and a little bit more control barrel notes, but also because of the oxygen coming through the barrel. The American oak has bigger pores, so gets more oxygen. So for the wines that are gonna spend less time in oak, we want a little bit more oxygen to open the wine, while in the Grand Reserva we want a little bit less oxygen because it's gonna spend more time.
Well, it was interesting tasting through your wines today. Really nice to revisit these Rioja that I haven't tasted for quite some time. Thank you very much for joining us today at Good Food Revolution. We really appreciate your time and your wines.
Thank you very much.
Bye for now.
Bye.